Hi, I'm Matthew. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to do a video called Why I Love Trotter Handcraft Brushes. And before I get too far into it, I want to tell you that I am not sponsored in any way, and every brush that I have has been purchased by me. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, the first thing I want to talk about the Trotters brush is looks. Now, as most things in life, you must like the way something looks, and that's why you're attracted to it. And so whenever you look at one of my Trotter brushes, you can see that it is very attractive and unique. Now, I will get into some other things a little bit later in the video, but based on the looks, I was attracted to the pour and the shape. And so once I got it, I realized that the shape of it actually felt really nice in the hands. And I will kind of refer to one of my other brushes that I like, which is one of the older Omega boar brushes, and you can see the shape of the brush really, in my hands versus the Trotter's brush has a different shape, and it's not so pleasurable. Let me grab another brush here. Now, this is the Smog boar brush, and you can see that the handle of this is slightly different, and in my hands, it's really not that comfortable. And but out of all my brushes, these are the two original brushes that I kept, and I've pretty much got away from all other brushes except for the Trotters. And luckily I have a few of them, and so if something catastrophic were to ever happen, I will always have a Trotter's brush. Okay, so the next thing that I thought was really nice, and I don't know if it just happened to be a luck thing or maybe it was design, but I use the Captain's Choice copper bowl a lot, and so when I got it, I loved the way that the rings inside help make the lather. But the one thing that I found a lot of times is whenever I would pick it up or set it down, my brush would fall into there. And so you know how it is, you get lather on your hands, and it's just, it makes for maybe not so much if you're, for me, making videos, it became a problem because I would have to rinse and dry my hand and edit the video, and it just kind of made for a problem. And so the same thing with the Smog brush, and you can see it almost automatically wants to just, if you put it there, it's going to want to fall out. If you put it there, it's going to fall into the lather. And so that is a problem. And this is where, like I said, I don't know if Trotter made this intentionally, but that little lip right there makes it just want to stay. And even if you put it there, you're not going to have a problem with it falling into your lather. I have not had that issue. And the base of it is nice and large enough to where when you set it on, like say you're lathering and you go to set it on your shelf or your sink, it's not going to fall over when it has the extra weight of the lather and the water. And so that brings me into the knot. Now, this knot is a Manchurian T1, and it is a Badger knot. And if I remember right, it's either a 2 or 3 band, but that's, those little details don't really make the brush. It's the actual product itself. And this is a 26 millimeter knot, and I'm not sure what this knot is. I would venture to say that it's probably like a 19-ish, maybe somewhere around there. And originally when I got this, I was kind of like, wow, this knot is huge compared to this knot. And so at first I was, just because I was so familiar with this knot and this knot, it just seemed like a lot of knot. And it took me, several shaves, and then I quickly realized that I really enjoy this knot. And besides the capability of being able to put the lather on the face, it has what I like as far as backbone. Now, you know, this is a super high density knot, so there's going to be a lot more animal hair versus the Omega, and even the Samogue brush. You can see it just how much more is there. But I really liked the way that the boar knots, these older boar knots, would actually, I don't know if you can see it, but the hairs will actually split and become soft. And when you first get them, they're really close to a military boot brush, and these are, it takes a little while to break them in, to where this particular knot, you know, after the third shave or so, it's ready to go. And I wished I had a new brush so that I could actually go through and make a video. Hey, that's a good idea. Make a video on how to break in a Trotter's brush. So Paul, if you're watching and you want to send me a new knot and brush, that would be awesome. If not, I will have to wait for another beautiful brush that I'm attracted to come available. Okay, so now that I've talked a little bit about the good backbone, I want to talk about the tips are actually gelled on this T1. And so I just have a little bit of water here and another beautiful Trotters Handcraft brush. And I just want to sit it in there for, oh, you know, a few seconds or so. And I'm going to pull it out, and I'll say that's probably enough. I don't even think that was 5 seconds in there. But look at how the knot, the tips are just so jelly soft, and wow, that is very nice. Now, if you were to take this Omega boar brush and set it in there for the same amount of time, and then say, okay, I'm ready, let's just squeeze the extra water out, you can see that it's still pretty rough. Now, these do have their place, and I really enjoy these older brushes because, you know, sometimes if you get the ingrown hairs, a super soft knot feels really great on your face, but these old ones that have a little bit more scritchiness to it, they will actually kind of defoliate. Is that the right word? Exfoliate? One of those words. It'll remove that dead skin and will allow that hair to come out. So let's just, for giggles and stuffs, let's put that brush in there for a few seconds, and I'm going to just gently squeeze the water out like I did the other ones, and you can see how much difference that particular knot does. And you can tell on this knot, or even on this boar, the other boar from Omega, they definitely do not gel up. And these have long lost their nasty scent, and I think that's something that with any natural or animal hair, you're going to have a little bit of the normal scent from that hair because it's a natural fiber. Okay, let's not get too far off on my topics, and I've got a little cheat sheet here because sometimes I tend to get sidetracked. And so the other nice thing about once you make your lather, and I thought about doing this, but you can look at any of my other videos, the knot itself, once you get it lathered, you will have plenty of lather left in your bowl. But once you do have the lather, you can apply several shaves with it, or passes, I should say, with what is actually in the knot. And you'll see a lot of times in the video, I will take it and squeeze out whatever is in there and kind of do that little test. And I didn't want to get my hands all and then have to edit, so I left that part out. So okay, so one of the things that are kind of bonuses when it comes to these Trotter Handcraft brushes is each handle is going to be a unique pour. I have not seen two of the same. Now you might say, Matthew, well, he's got some clear brushes and, you know, they're green or they're blue or whatever, and they're exactly the same. No, they're not. And let me tell you why. Because the shape is going to be slightly different. These are handmade brushes. And so these two look similar. They kind of have the similar colors as far as pour, but when you look, they're not exactly the same. And that's where they're very unique. They're handcrafted. Paul pours each epoxy and mixes the flavors, I'll say, the colors, and you never know what you're going to get whenever he's doing that. If you've ever mixed that type of stuff, you know what I'm talking about. So I would say that it would be difficult to duplicate any one and it be exactly the same. I would venture to say near impossible. Okay, and so that brings me on to the Made in the USA. Paul is an American. He makes these in his shop, and that is quite a thing for me to be able to say. Now, I will have to do a little disclaimer because these knots are super secret and I have no idea where they're made, and I would guess to say that they're probably not an American-made knot. I know Paul doesn't go out and trap the badgers and collect their hair, so somewhere they are made, and that, like I said, is beyond the topic, because it comes down to the brush, the fine craftsmanship, and the quality of the shave and lathering process you will get from these. Those are some of the things, or the reasoning why I love the Trotters Handcraft brush. Now, one of the things I forgot to mention is this particular knot is a fan knot, and I do like the fan knots versus the bulbs, and that's where you can jump down another rabbit hole in this beautiful hobby that we have. Now, I don't think I would say this, but I know some people may say, like, you know, one of the cons to this brush is it's expensive. And yes, though it is expensive, you got to realize or remember that an individual is making this, and it's not a product that is being pumped out of an assembly line where everyone is exactly the same. This is a truly unique brush that only you will have. And out of all the brushes, even the knots are just a little different. You know, you can see this one has a little bit more on the other band versus this one. And, you know, something is only as valuable as what you're willing to spend. Now, if you're willing to spend $10 on a brush, I think this one was like $9.99. It will last you a very long time, and it will give you great shaves. And some people would say, that is not enough money, I need to spend more. And that's where you have to be comfortable with the amount of money you spend on a product. If it's $400 and you feel great about it, good for you. If you feel like that's too much, well, good for you. So I'm not going to put that really in the video as far as a concern, because you have to be comfortable with your product. And I have some things like the Gillette Silver Blue. I love that blade. But if you've watched any of my showdowns, you'll find out that, you know, it is a good blade, but you know what? When it comes down to actually trying it and testing it, it didn't win. But yet, I still find it to be one of my favorite blades. All right, well, I want to stick to the brush video. Those are my main reasons why I love the Trotters brush, and you will have to pry it out of my dead hand if you want one, or go to Paul's website. I'll put a link in the description below. He's not on Etsy any longer, and you go and fight amongst the other people to get one, and you will be, I'm almost confident you will be surprised at the quality and the feel of these brushes. All right, I'll see you guys on the next shave video. You have a great rest of your week.